Salutations, my name is Summer, and this is Cozy Reading with Quaker Cats. We have Randall in the background, sitting all pretty, and Sylvie is down here. We'll see if she causes trouble today. She was a troublemaker yesterday when I did a tag, and then Mayfair's trying to get in the fish aquarium. All right, today I would like to go over what I've read this week and what I am currently reading. Plus, I might talk about my TBR and how I plan to change it a little bit. So, and I'm not sure which I should talk about. Okay, I have one DNF. Let's talk about that one first. Beach read, Emily Henry. I took my thing out. I read 4 more pages of this last night and was like, that's enough. It's enough. I can't help it that everybody loved this book on BookTube, but it just was not for me. I did not get any pleasure from it. I didn't think it was cute. I didn't like the relationship. I didn't like the witty banter. I didn't like anything, the love-hate. I didn't like it. And I did the reread book tag last night and was thinking, why am I, after 4 pages, because I want to give books a chance, and I think I was on page 120, 124, or something like that. But after reading 4 pages last night, I thought, there's so many books I want to read and there's so many books I'm loving that I'm reading right now, and there's so many books I want to reread. Why am I don't want to say that it's a waste of time, because to other people this book wasn't. But for me personally, like, why am I wasting my precious reading time with a book I'm not going to learn anything from it? In the sense of, it's not like it's historical fiction where I could say, oh, I might not like the character, but I'm learning about a certain culture or area in the world that I don't know about. I DNF'd it. So I finished listening to True Grit by Charles Portis. I enjoyed it. It's super short. Donna Tartt is the narrator. I'm not a fan of Donna Tartt. I didn't like 2 of the books of hers that I read, and I don't plan to read any more of her. I just don't. There's an essay at the end of this that I enjoyed, hearing about how much she loved the book and how much her family loved it. I enjoyed that. And she has a pleasant voice. I enjoyed the book. I enjoyed the story. A book of poetry, Imperfect Love by Miller Williams. I was going to read this at night before I went to bed, just read a poem or 2, and they're just depressing and like dark and not, I didn't enjoy it. Didn't enjoy it at all. And most of the time with poetry, I want to take my time and just, I don't know, I just really like to just slowly settle into a poem. And with this, I was just like, let's get this over with. The last thing I read, I cannot recommend this book enough. American Dirt by Janine Cummins. Cummins? I cannot recommend this book enough. I was so lucky. I went and I stopped at Goodwill last Monday, and I got this brand new coffee for $2. I couldn't believe it. I loved every moment of this book. And it's about, I don't want to tell you too much because I went in totally blind. I thought this book was something totally different than it is. And it starts out with a gun, somebody shooting a gun. First sentence, it starts off with, it says, one of the very first bullets comes in through the open window above the toilet where Luca is standing. So, I mean, from the very first sentence, you are thrown into this world. So I don't want to tell you about what happens, or really even what it's about. that's more for like a review. So, I don't know how there's any way that I could talk about this book without spoiling things. But I'll tell you a little bit. So it's about this woman who, no, I can't tell you that. Yeah, this is where I struggle. This is where I struggle, where I say, I love this book, but I don't tell you why. And I'm trying to find that balance of how do I describe a book that I love to you and the things I love about it without spoiling it and telling you what it's about. So I haven't figured out that balance yet. And see, even if I talk about that, I'll be telling you what's going on. Okay, I think everyone should read this book. This gives you a tiny insight of what it takes to come over and cross the border illegally. If you have any interest in that, which I think everybody should read this, if you are prejudiced in any way and feel like our borders, don't let anybody in, you should read this book. It gives like I said, it gives a tiny insight of what it's like to live in a place where you are unsafe, your family's unsafe, and what it takes to get to some place that you feel like is safe, who you can trust, who you can't trust. This book had me so emotional. What the journey, I think she does it on a positive note because I feel like it's not this positive. It's not, things don't work out so well for so many people who try to come over here like it did for her. And yeah, anything bad that happens, I feel like it's 10 times worse in real life than this book. But this book, it gives you, like I said, a tiny insight of what it's like. And if you're the type of person who hasn't thought about that hasn't thought about what it takes, what people have to go through, what kind of lives they're living, we take so much, as Americans, we take so much for granted. And yes, there are problems in America, but yeah, it's a complicated thing to talk about because there are injustices here. But me personally, I don't have to worry about, and I don't want to tell you that because then I'll tell you about what's going on in the book. Anyway, I'm taking way too long on this. Try this book out. No matter how you feel about things, I feel like this book everybody should read, no matter where you stand on the issue. Because this might give you some more compassion about what people have to go through. Absolutely loved it. I also love the author's note, so make sure you read, if you read this book, you read the author's note because it was so interesting and good also. Oh, one thing I want to say. A Grapes of Our Wrath for Our Times by Don Winslow. Do not listen to Don Winslow. I do not know who he is, but I am so irritated about people trying to compare books that are nothing alike. This is nothing. The Grapes of Wrath is one of my favorite books. So going into this, I thought I already was kind of like, have my hackles rise that they were going to compare anything to The Grapes of Wrath. But I absolutely love this book. Absolutely loved it from the beginning to the end. But it's not Grapes of Wrath. It's not anything like Grapes of Wrath. And so I don't know why it says that. But going into this book, no, it is not anything like The Grapes of Wrath. But it's a fantastic book. Well worth your time to read it. And I recommend it. Okay, now that I got that through, because I've been it's had me an emotional wreck. I have cried and just been angry. And so now that that's all done and over with, what I am currently reading, I've gotten into too many things. I've been reading too many things. So I'm taking it down a notch, and I only have 4 things I'm going to focus on for next week, for this weekend going into next week, because I just need to calm it down. I'm feeling my anxiety. It's been high right now. So I'm listening to Deacon King Kong by James McBride, and I'm not liking it. Heads up, I'm not liking it. I don't like Sportscoat, the main character. You know, it's funny because when I don't like a book, I don't have any problem spoiling it for people. I was just going to tell you a bunch of stuff that I don't like about it, which would spoil things. But yeah, I'm not that far along. So I'm going to continue listening to it, and we'll see if I enjoy it more once I get into it. I'm not DNFing it yet. I'm going to at least get halfway through, and then if I'm still feeling the same way where I just could care less about these characters, then I'll DNF it. But I'm going to give it some more time. A book I've been looking forward to for months, and I pre-ordered it, and I'm so excited, is Anxious People by Frederick Backman. This is a standalone, and it's about what it says up here: 1 bank robber, 7 strangers, and a really bad idea. So it's about a guy who goes to rob the bank and why he goes to rob it. And it's you get the cop and his son, who is a cop also, and they work together. So you get that relationship. You get the hostages. You get their side of what is going on. So I'm not very far along, but it goes back and forth. The chapters are super short, and it just goes back and forth of what's going on. So I love his writing. Yeah, I'm very happy that I got it, and I'm excited about it. I'm going to continue on with The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. This is an accidental reread. I wasn't for sure if I had read it or not, and I have, but I don't remember how it ends or anything. So there's a lot of it I don't remember. So I'm very happy that I'm rereading it, and I'm only on page 90. So I still got a ways to go. I think it's like 350 pages or something. But this is a book for me to read before I go to bed, because the hijinks that Tom Sawyer and now Huck Finn are getting up to, I'm enjoying it. And one more book I'm going to focus on this next week, and it's one that I've wanted to read for years and years and years because I love the miniseries. I think I was a teenager when it came out. Lonesome Dove by Larry Mcmurtry. Here's my beautiful edition. Yeah, I'm not far at all. I'm only on page 30. I love Gus and Woodrow. Actually, all of them, all the characters. You know, Pete and Newt. Yeah. So I love Dead Man's Walk and Comanche Moon, and those are the 2 books before this. So I knew going into it that I was going to love this book too. And already I do. Already I can't imagine it turning and me not liking it with the feel of it. All right, so that is what I've read, what I plan to read, what I'm currently reading. One thing I want to say is since doing the tag last night and then trying to read Beach Read and deciding to DNF it, it's made me want to rethink my fall TBR because I think ahead. You know, what books do I want to read? So next month, I still want to read War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. But I think, Sylvie, I knew she was coming. I knew she was going to jump up on here. Hopefully she doesn't step on it again. So yeah, War and Peace I'm going to read next month. But then I think I'm going to do a reread. And I thought, you know what? A reread would be perfect to read alongside War and Peace, because War and Peace, I think somebody said at one point there's 500 characters. And of course, there's French and Russian names, and that's why I had such a hard time trying to figure out who was who and what was going on. So I feel like if I do a reread while I'm, just to give me like a little bit of a break while I'm reading War and Peace, then I think that would be very helpful, and it will keep me mentally fine. So, what are these guys doing over here? They're playing. All right, well, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'd love to know what you're currently reading or what you just read. If you have any opinions about any of these books, if you love Beach Read, I'm happy for you that you liked it. If you've read American Dirt, let me know, because it was just such a powerful book. I mean, it's just so powerful. Yeah, I think that will be everything. So I hope you have a great weekend. Thanks. Bye.